Real estate investing has been and most always will be the most streamlined and trusted method to build wealth through your life. Now, if you look at any successful, wealthy person, you're going to find that most, if not all of them, have invested in homes or properties in their past, and they still continue to do it to maintain and grow their wealth. But I also totally understand that investing in homes is extremely intimidating, especially when you first start or you're not in the industry in general. But it's not, trust me. I've seen a lot of stupid people invest successfully. Now, none of them are my clients, of course, but they are out there. And it honestly is easier than you think. And my goal will be to help simplify this whole thing for you so that you can go into the investment property journey and be in so much better of a wealth position than you have ever thought you could. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Joe Skipper, and I'm the owner of Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty out of Oregon. And today we're going to start the investment journey by starting at the basics of what to consider when investing in your home. Now again, this is only going to cover the basics, and we can and will dive deeper into this more as time goes on, but this is where we need to get started. And if you haven't already, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. Also, if you want to stay up to date with the latest on the Oregon housing market so that you can make the best financial decisions for you and your family, then consider subscribing to my page. I put out content regularly so that you can be more successful, not only as a buyer and seller on a personal level, but also as a home investor as well. Okay, let's start with the location of the properties. Now, the traditional way to look at investment homes is to look in the area that you live in, and that makes sense. You better know the area, you know what's good and bad for a home price. You can easily get eyes on it, go see it, drive by it once you invest, and you can make sure your tenants aren't painting it pink. And for the most part, that makes sense, and it can be a good place to start investing. But with technology now, you don't, and you maybe shouldn't be limited by places that you can drive to. Now, I know it sounds nuts, but you can invest anywhere in the US and even in the world pretty easily. By thinking outside of your area, especially here in Oregon where I live, you can get into investment properties for a fraction of the price that you live in. Yes, I'm also looking at you, California. But the key with any investment is to have a team that you trust to help you make the best decisions. In my humble opinion, and that is not biased at all, is that you need to start with the right agent. And I know what you're thinking, but seriously, for example, if you have a good agent, say in Nebraska, and you live in Oregon, they can help you find lenders, property managers, contractors, painters, flooring people, plumbers, electricians. They pretty much have everyone you need to know to run an investment property. Your agent's going to know, or they should know them. Now, by choosing the right team, you can invest anywhere with little to no stress. Now, unless you like touching your investment physically, you open up so many more options by looking outside of your hometown. Now, part of that location you choose requires a thorough market analysis on it to determine if your area is dying or thriving. Now, your local agent will be able to guide you on cities and towns they know of that are growing and what's going on in the economic world there to help you pick the right neighborhood or the right area. But you should do some of the legwork yourself as well. Now, you want to look at cities and towns that are growing in population. Look for areas where large companies are maybe setting up shop. For example, where's Amazon building their next manufacturing or processing facility? Or is maybe Intel setting up to move their hub to a city that you like? Now, if you can find these sorts of opportunities, this could be a big head start for you on building equity and wealth in those homes very quickly. Now, they bring renters, income into the economy, and the price of your home in turn goes up relatively fast. And it's something we can dive into later, but by building equity in the home, you can leverage that equity and buy more places. But today, we're not going to overcomplicate it either. Just make sure that you're buying in an area or a city that is growing, and you're going to start off better off. Now, with the location, you need to be aware also of the regulations that the city or the town that you're wanting to invest in provides. So some cities are strict on the tenant side of things, and some are strict on the landlord side of things. Like, for example, if you want to invest in Airbnbs, and that's what you want to start with as an investor, make sure that your city allows it and that the neighborhood that you're actually purchasing in allows it as well. Now, some cities around here, like Lincoln City, which is a really popular coastal town in Oregon, they restrict Airbnbs heavily. So you may invest in a home there and find out after that they don't allow you to rent it like that. Or you may want to buy in a specific neighborhood that has an HOA, and if you don't do your research, you may find that that HOA doesn't allow short-term rentals, or there may be a rental cap on that particular neighborhood. Also, some cities like Portland around us are very, very, very tenant-friendly, and that's totally fine, but know that you as the landlord will generally not get the benefit of the doubt in situations where you need to evict a tenant or you have other sorts of issues. Just make sure that your agent and or you know what type of investment that you want and what the city's rules are with it, whether that works for you and your goals. Okay, now let's get to the money that you're gonna make. Now this is the fun part and this is why we do it. And this is a whole category in and of itself. And I know a lot of people that stop going forward with an investment because they just don't know how to see what money they're gonna make and how they're gonna make it. And it can be complicated. And really in the investment world, it's one where every investor has an opinion on what they think is the best way to calculate it. But the simple way is to estimate your rental income and deduct any operating expenses with it, your mortgage payments, and your property management fees, and you should in the end have positive cash flow after looking at those numbers. And that number can truly be whatever you want it to be. Some people are happy with, say, $50 a month after all their expenses are paid. Their goal may be to build wealth over time, and if someone's paying their mortgage, then cool. Some people, they want to make at least $100 a month or more after expenses. It all depends on your specific goals. But most investors have some sort of rule they follow in general on how they calculate what they're going to make on properties and how they're going to invest. One of those is the 1% rule, which basically says that the property should rent for at least 1% more than the total upfront cost. Now, another strategy that's used is the cap rate. Now, to do this, you divide the property net operating expenses by its purchase price. Now, the cap rate should be as high as possible, but investors have their own number that they like to go for when investing. Now, all of this stuff can be made simple online by using all sorts of online tools and calculators to determine what sort of return that you want on your home. But BiggerPockets is one that I really love. They have a podcast, social media, websites, training programs, books, and all sorts of things that can help you get going on this process. Reach out to me and I have some books that you can have or some recommendations for some resources on that. But there are a ton of free resources online, so check out those for the best way to calculate if a property makes sense for you or it doesn't. So, how do you get the property once you've found the right one and you're done all the legwork with your agent on the front end? Now this is where the good team comes in again. Now there are a million lenders out there and each one has different rates, terms, down payment rules, and all sorts of ways that they're going to calculate whether you can qualify for this investment home. Now some lenders are investor friendly and will be lenient on, say, your stated rental income that property is going to produce, which will help you in qualifying for the loan in the end. Some are going to be strict. So working with the right lender is going to make or break whether you can invest in a home or not. So check out some that know investing and work with a lot of investors. They are full of resources as well on the best ways to go about financing that property. But you don't even have to go that route. There are hard money lenders out there as well that are going to provide you with cash to pay for the property. Now, these are different rules for them than a bank, so make sure that you know what you're getting into and what your specific property needs are. But a lot of people will use hard money lenders on a fix and flip or a fix and rent property. By using this method, you can get money at most likely a higher interest rate, but you can fix the property, you refinance it, and you pay back that hard money lender before you pay too much on the high interest loan. Now, this is another story for another time, so let's not get all wrapped up in the details here. I just wanted you to have that information generally. But the positive about them is that you can go get approved for the money to purchase with less stringent guidelines than a bank. That's the moral of the story. But like I was saying, they generally are higher interest rates, so you want to know what you're diving into before going that route. Finally, and this isn't the least important item, but I could go on forever and I have to cut myself off at some point. But this is what type of investment you want as an investor. Now, some investors love short-term rentals. Think Airbnb or VRBO. Some like to fix it and flip it, and that is to buy a fixer, flip it, and sell it for a profit. Some want to fix it and hold it, which is just to fix it up and rent it long-term. And some want to move in ready, and they just want to hold it and rent it long-term. Now, there are a ton of ways to invest, and it really depends on your risk tolerance, the strategy you want to use, and the way you want to leverage your properties in the future. Which leads me to my broken record statement of making sure you work with the right team to help you make an informed decision on all of this. Now, I'm not saying you need us to hold your hand, but if you're getting into investment properties, it means you value your time. You probably have another gig and you don't have time to spend 24 hours a day learning all of this stuff. So having a team that does will allow you to invest in properties without becoming a full-time investor, because most investors do this on the side of what they do on a regular basis. So it really is understandable to use someone that does in order to help you. So there's a lot in this video that we could elaborate on, and we could talk for hours on the different strategies, areas to look in, cap rates, etc. But I wanted to get us started on the basics on investment properties to dip your toes into this world and see if it's even something you want to look for in general. I will do more videos on investments and dive deeper into the terminology and the different ideas and strategies that may work for you. But for now, enjoy this light stuff. And if you haven't already, if you could like this video and subscribe to my page, I really would appreciate it. I put out content regularly so that you can go into the home investment journey with the most knowledge so that you can make the best financial decisions as an investor. Thank you guys, and if you need any help with home investments, shoot me a DM or a text and we can talk about your specific scenario. Thanks.